Automatic chat translation. Hey man, we putting it out, you know what I mean? Made it. Well, we got through another week. It wasn't the worst week, wasn't the best week. It was better than last week. So, it was an improvement week to week. But, you do what you can, you know what I mean? As long as you're doing what you can, you can't expect everybody else to do the same. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Florida Swamp Monkey. I'm currently living in a 2007 Toyota Corolla. I'm trying to save up money and get to the point where I can be a van lifer, pretty much. Got like $6,000 saved up now, but I'm thinking base camp first. Because I can buy a piece of land that I can like live on, camp on, whatever. And then just buy a car after that point. It shouldn't be too hard to like get a vehicle, $1,000 down. You know what I mean? But just buy the land outright. But yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's like pretty much, yeah, that's all it is. I mean, just want for less, and I'm just gonna keep doing my thing day to day. And a man with no bills is a rich man. You know what I mean? When it's all said and done, get to the point, I'll have zero a month in bills, and then all the money that I'm making, after eating, of course, and then you'd have to insure your car at least a little while. But I'm trying to get to the point I won't even need a car. Um, but yeah. Oh, I'm living in a 2007 Toyota Corolla. Like I'm pretty much car camping, trying to do what I can to keep myself safe. Um, I got a job in retail. I work plus I do Uber. I know the Uber is not something I can completely rely on, but it's if I'm living in the car anyway, I might as well help some people out. Get their lunch order delivered. You know what I mean? And then you know what I mean? Like every day I wake up in the car, pretty much try to make like $30 to $50 on Uber, and then you know what I mean? I don't know. But that's pretty much it. Was in a relationship with a woman, and we were building, trying to play house together. After about 9, 10 years, she just got sick of me. Well, not it wasn't like a her thing. You know what I mean? It was just people are better in small doses. Living with somebody full time and everything, and after a while, it just I don't know, things boil over. You know, but yeah, she threw me out in September, and I've been, at least I had the car as like, some sort of an apartment to be in. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, starting from zero again, you know what I mean? Like, I've been here before. I'm trying to make this be like the last time because I'm not trying to be, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? I don't know, trying to build something smaller that I can pay for on my own, you know what I mean? Rather than trying to do the whole 9 yards with somebody else, and then I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Trying to, like I said, do my thing today. At least wake up and do something. You know what I mean? Like in hopefully by next September I can be out of the car. I figure at that point it'd be about a year. You know what I mean? I either need to figure out what I'm, you know what I mean? At least in the current, from my current stance, you know what I mean? What play can I do? You know what I mean? What moves can I make? Luckily I was able to keep the job that I had. It's not the best job in the world, but it's hours. And then right now, it's like one of the things that just hurt was the job market where I was at. Like I was working at Amazon, doing my thing, trying to like blend in. You know what I mean? Just find a spot in a warehouse and just clock in when they tell you to, clock out when they tell you to. You know what I mean? But I don't know, fucking the I guess the AI that was in of promoting people and hiring people and this, that, and the other. Like the AI preferred younger candidates. It felt like, you know what I mean? Because like I don't know, when I first started working there, there was people that were like of age were the managers. People you could look at and be like, okay, yeah, they do look like the manager. You know what I mean? And then after a while, it was like the people that are managers in fast food were like the managers there in the warehouse. You know what I mean? And I don't know, they were trying to find somebody with like a master's degree to be an area manager at an Amazon warehouse. You know what I mean? It's like you think somebody with a master's degree, they're thinking beyond Amazon. You know what I mean? Like they're not even applying at Amazon. They didn't go and get a master's degree. What up, Fred? But yeah, like Fred, I was reaching out to you. I was wanting to see like if there's something that I did that offended you. I didn't want to continue to do it and offend somebody else. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like I should have understood you probably were just busy over the weekend or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I was live for like 4 hours last night, and I was waiting for you to pop in, Fred. I was like, you never popped in, man. I was live for like 4 hours and 20 minutes last night, but I don't know, just sitting out in front of a fucking Circle K, just talking to people. There was one dude you probably would have liked him. His name was Silver Fox. It's a Silver Fox Studio or something like that. Uh, but yeah, like I said, I'm trying to keep my nose clean, keep my nose to myself, keep my, try not to look in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? Because very easy to just break this glass and do whatever. So I don't know. It's mostly the hard part is trying to find a safe spot to sleep. You know what I mean? Like you can, like hospital parking lots are a good spot. You can hotel parking lots. You can like blend in and then just as long as you're quiet, you can even reach out and grab their Wi-Fi sometimes in the hotel parking lots. You don't want to do it all the time. You know what I mean? You want to try and find like 5 different spots. You know what I mean? And try to rotate between those 5 spots, make a little routine. You know what I mean? And that way, you're basically there like one day a week. You know what I mean? No, no, not like necessarily like that, but like a lot of people that live on the streets, they have some sort of drug problem. You know what I mean? Like I do to some extent, but this is like doctor prescribed. You know what I mean? And then this is in place of taking Klonopin and Risperdal and other shit I can't even fucking pronounce. You know what I mean? But yeah, taking 3 or 4 of these medications that even with insurance I couldn't afford anyway, and then I'm still gonna want to smoke pot. You know what I mean? I don't know. They just decided just let them smoke pot. I don't know. I don't know because it's not like I don't know. The pills don't those. I don't know. It just didn't. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just because you still want to smoke anyway. You know what I mean? If you're a smoker, I don't know. But like I don't know. My personal opinion, I would rather be called a stoner than an alcoholic. It's just me at least. Is it possible a hotel may rent you a spot? Yeah, you could do that. That's basically what I did. I bought a movie ticket. Like I bought a 6 month movie ticket, and then I figured, like if somebody sees me sleeping in my car in the movie theater parking lot, like if it's daylight hours at least, it's not gonna be a problem. You know what I mean? But I don't know. There, it's kind of not that packed yet. Like certain cities in America, yeah, you have to buy a parking spot. Um, but yeah, pretty much you can anywhere you can find a place to park. You know what I mean? If you're willing to, you could find streets like in the city, where people there's no not a lot of garage space, so people just there's like street parking. You know what I mean? Everybody's just got their car parked on the street. You just parallel parking right in, parallel park right in between some other cars, and then you could just post up right there. You know what I mean? Nobody would even, there was one dude I was watching. He was living in like a Ford Explorer or something like that. But that's pretty much what he did for months. But I think the thing is, I think he was like living in front of his sister's house or something like that. Something, you know what I mean? Where the house that he was like in front of most of the time, it was like his sister's house or I don't know. Right. I don't know, dude. That's the tough part. It's just I try not to even think about it, to be honest with you. Like I got a baseball bat, and that's about as far. I don't know. Probably should maybe at least get like a little 3-inch pocket knife or something too. But yeah, steel baseball bat. I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to start shit anyway. You know what I mean? Most of the time, I don't. You don't even need to pull a bat out. You know what I mean? But yeah, like in the moment where some meth head wants to fucking start playing with my fucking car handle or something, I don't know. Cause I don't know, dude. Are you getting there? Saving. Yeah, it's tough being worried about security. Yeah, I got a gym membership. I'm trying to if I can get land for cheap. I'm trying to find land for like around 10 or 15K. But I still want to be close to the job that I have currently. Like I can get a transfer to another store, this, that, the other. It wouldn't be too hard. But I've got very selective hours because I try to be free in the first place. You know what I mean? Like my number one priority is freedom. I'm not worried about what a corporation wants to say that I'm worth. You know what I mean? And I don't how much I don't know. The millions of people that have died for us to be free. You know what I mean? For us to just go work a 40, 50 hour week at Walmart or Dollar General or wherever. You know what I mean? I don't think that's really what their intention was. So I try to live more frugally. You know what I mean? I try to get by with like 20, 25 hours a week. Somehow or another. There should be a way. Like as long as you're working in the first place, like you are getting up and produce, like you're still doing that 20 hours a week, there ought to be some way that you can live with less. You know what I mean? And then just get through. Hey Jerry, how you doing, man? Yeah, Jerry was hanging out with me last night too. But yeah, that's just I don't know, just the way I see it at least. There, because I mean, on 40 hours you can afford a 3-bedroom house and a wife and at least one kid. You know what I mean? Not everybody. Depends what job you have. You know what I mean? But on 20 hours, you ought to be able to at least pay your own way. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to just do 20 hours. It's just, you know what I mean? Working for somebody else instead of yourself type of thing. And I don't know. I kind of want to do, like, I've been thinking of, like, turning my car or, like, ice cream truck type of thing. I know it sounds stupid, but follow me on this, okay? Like, turning my car, at least for now, start small. You know what I mean? But you see, there's like teenage kids, like in all the little big cities or whatever. There's teenage kids just selling bottles of water, right? They just buy a case of water, probably even with food stamps. I'm not going to do that, but you know what I mean. They buy a case of water and then they just sell it on the side of the road for $1 a piece. You know what I mean? They make some money or whatever. Start off by doing that, right? Just selling bottles of water, and I'm in Florida, so I think I can sell water, like especially if I can keep it cold somehow or another, or pay for ice every day or whatever. You know what I mean? Sell bottles of water and then expand from there, you know what I mean? And get like at the point where you have like a whole mobile convenience store. You know what I mean? Not like alcohol and tobacco and lotto. You know what I mean? Because you can't. That's gonna be hard to get a mobile license for those. You know what I mean? But like anything else, you could walk into a normal gas station and find. You know what I mean? Like pickles, Slim Jims, potato chips. You know, just make it all mobile. Throw it all in. Like it's basically just a white, like an ice cream truck. Basically, you know what I mean? You would even need less refrigeration. Well, you might need the same refrigeration depending on how many like different bottled drinks and stuff you'd want to have, how much of a variety you'd want. But you could pull up to events and stuff, like places where there's food trucks, like a concert that's outside, and there's like 18 food trucks, and then you pull up and you straight have a mobile convenience store. You know what I mean? Not like an overpriced calzone or fucking sausage, green pepper and onions for fucking $20. You know, like an overpriced bratwurst or some shit. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's like it's not necessarily like the dream. You know what I mean? But it seems like something I could actually do, and then I would be, a small business owner in a way. And start small. And you'd have to. I want to go through the county and then do it all the right way. Pay them out. Make sure they get their 20%. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want that to come back at me later. You know what I mean? But I don't know. But yeah, I mean that's this anything anybody's doing really. Like if you're working, you're working somewhere. Odds are you're working somewhere. Products everybody's kind of reselling stuff, buying something and then reselling it for more to somebody else. Like even if you work like me, I work in retail, and that's all that the business does is we buy rotors from India for cheap, and then we sell them here at U.S. prices. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much like the whole game. People Facebook market and shit. Buying a $20 watch and then trying to sell it for 100. And then that's like half the world is just reselling shit. You know what I mean? And then the other half is like working for them. Or working to pay them. I don't know why. I don't know. It's just fucking dumb, really. Like I don't necessarily want to get into that side of the market either. Like I don't know. I just like the aspect of like working for yourself. Like good, like getting up and whatever money that you'd make in a day, minus your inventory cost, would be like your money for the day. Like your cut. You know what I mean? I don't know. I know it sounds stupid, but I don't know. Versus working anywhere else anyway. I don't know. Just I like the freedom of it. I don't know. But yeah, it depends where you post up. And I don't know. One dude, he popped in my chat, and he was telling me he's been living on the Appalachian Trail for like the last 4 years. And I'm like, man, that might be something cool to do. Like when I like hit retirement age or whatever. Like instead of worrying about like, where am I gonna live? I would literally just fucking live on the trail for free, like one way or another. You know what I mean? Either in a tent or at a shelter or whatever. You know what I mean? But it'd be free housing. Well, not housing, but I don't know. Just something to think about. I don't know because I wouldn't need a whole lot. I mean, especially if I don't ever buy into buying a house to begin with, I feel like I'll be able to retire that much sooner. Honestly. Um, and I don't know how much I would really need to like to sustain myself in retirement. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I figured, everything's gonna go up in price, so I would need to at least have my current salary. Like what I don't know what I'm currently making. I would need as like a cost of living. You know what I mean? To just kind of keep going. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But I am trying to, like, I hit up the 2-for-1 sale at the grocery store. I'm gonna probably go back and get some more. Fucking buy one, get one free oatmeal, right? I know some of y'all probably don't like, oatmeal's fucking disgusting or whatever, but that's not bad. You know what I mean? And then literally all I have to do is fucking throw some water. I don't even have to heat the water up. I could cold soak it. You know what I mean? It was buy one, get one free. I had to run in there and get some. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go back and probably get another 4 boxes. Because I was doing the math, it's only 8 packs. You know what I mean? I'll probably put 2 packs in a bowl. You know what I mean? This is like 4 meals. You know what I mean? And then since it's a sale, like I gotta, go ahead and bulk up on it. Um, get like fucking, I don't know. I don't want to spend too much money on it either, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm probably gonna go back and buy another 4 boxes. Yeah. Right, yeah, do legally though. Well, I don't know. I kind of had that idea for years now too. I don't know. Even if I could get to the point where I could like do it for free, you know what I mean? Like, cause Florida's hot as fuck, dude. And there's some of these traffic lights, dude. You're sitting there, like, and you're just beating the shit out of your car's AC. Some people they don't, their AC doesn't work right, so they're just sitting there at the traffic light, just baking, And there's like this dude on the side of the road just giving away free bottles of water. You know what I mean? That'd be fucking sick. You know what I mean? If you didn't even have to charge for it. But yeah, just I don't know, just as like a courtesy thing, like everybody's sitting there stuck in traffic, and there's a dude just giving away free cold water. I don't know. Man. Yeah, we're chilling out. I think the video's uploaded now. Yeah, I saw a gator a couple days ago. Even. I mean, you're never. I mean, we're in Florida, bro. You know what I mean? You can't. You can't. Well, depends where you're swimming. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was deep in the back. This neighborhood I'm thinking about getting land at, and um, yeah, they have a big old sign up, saying be careful. This is where gators also, this lake is inhabited by gators, and then sure enough, you could see them out there. Um, I don't know, like most of the time gators they just lay there. You know what I mean? They don't really, they go after birds and cats. Maybe poodles or some, chihuahuas. How many people would think about doing that for free just to be nice? Yeah, I don't know. Like if like I said, that's the dream. You know what I mean? But like say I don't like okay. Say you had some job where you made like $4 million in one year. Hey, how you doing, Megan? But yeah, say you had a job where you made 4 million. Like okay, I was lucky enough that I had that job, right? So I would work that one year, make my 4 million, right? And then you figure 4 million, if you were to spend it smartly, like not smartly is not the right word. You know what I mean? Like, if you were to spend it intelligently, you know, $4 million, right? You could spend 100,000 a year for 40 years, right? And then, yeah, granted, inflation's a bitch, this, that, and the other, but like I don't know. Like after you're buying a couple things that you've wanted all your life, you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Don't go crazy with it because you only have 4 million. You like you budget yourself. You know what I mean? You only have, like even still, having, imagine having a $10,000 a month spending limit, and then but you don't have to worry about 4 grand for housing. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I mean? Or even, say you built it all smaller where you only have. Yeah, because I don't want to spend more than $1,000 a month on a place to live. That's why I'm in my car currently, because prices, like, we're gonna look back and we're gonna be like, man, the inflation in the 20s was nuts, dude. You know what I mean? Because it has been. You know what I mean? The last 5 years, we've looked at, like, it's been like 30 years of inflation in the last 5 7 years. You know what I mean? And we've just been living through it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, even like you're saying, like, yeah, $1 million in a savings account would be more than the $13,000 that I'm working for in a year. You know what I mean? Because what they say I'm worth anyway. That's the bullshit of it. Like, everybody wants to tell you, oh, well, you should do this, you should do that. And like, more people try to talk to me about, like, like, oh, you should do this, the less I am ultimately going to do any kind of a career option. You know what I mean? It's not a stubbornness thing. It's just like I don't know, dude. You know what I mean? Like, cause just people trying to tell you where you fit. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be a trucker. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many fucking people have, like, come up to me like, oh, you should be a trucker. I get kind of the aspect. It's like, basically to be doing the same thing. Except only if you had a semi with a sleeper cab, you could pretty much park anywhere. You know what I mean? People don't usually fuck with a trucker. You know what I mean? Even if you're a meth head, you're not gonna fucking climb up, really fuck with a trucker. I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? But I don't know. But I just no, dude. It's like it's not the fucking job for me. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. But yeah, like, I don't know if working, or I don't know, just any fucking thing, dude. If there was anything I wanted to do, I'm fucking practically 35. I would have already fucking been halfway on the path to figuring out how to do it. You know what I mean? The only thing I've wanted to do, but they've always kind of, like, I don't know, because I wouldn't even know where to start to begin. You know what I mean? That's the hard part. It's like, where is D square so I can work my way up into A square? You know what I mean? Where's the line so I can get into D square? you know, like, I'm at point A now, and then, like, point B would, like, say when I was younger, even still, it'd be nice to be like the guy that holds the microphone, like the on a pole. There's like the big microphone on a pole. There's always, like in old movies, you see like somebody holding a microphone off screen. I always felt like that's my job, but I don't know who to talk to get, like, do you really need to go to college and get a film? You need to get a 4-year film degree to be able to hold a microphone. You know what I mean? Do you really? Like, that's fucked up. You probably do nowadays, though. You know what I mean? Because there's so much competitiveness with working in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, meanwhile, they literally just kind of need people with a pulse that are going to show up on time. But yet, they're making us like, you know, I don't know, making us like we're fucking, horses racing each other at the same time. Yeah, the advertisement on my car. Yeah, there's companies that do that. I don't know. Like, I looked into it slightly, and they really don't want to pay. You have to do a bunch of bullshit, like take pictures of your speedometer, and you know what I mean. You gotta tally how many miles you're driving, and I don't know. It's just fucking. It's stupid. They make it like it's a job, to just make the $200 annually that you're gonna have this sticker on your car all fucking year, and then they give you $200, and then you have to prove to them that you drove at least 10,000 miles. It's fucking give you a bunch of homework to do to so that they can verify that they even can send you the $200, and it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, I've seen some of it. You know what I mean? I've looked into it a little bit. That's why I'm able to tell you that. You know what I mean? But any kind of, I don't know. You're not making money without somebody else making money off of you. in the meantime. You know what I mean? And that's the hard part. Like I'm just trying to get to the point where I don't even need to make money. You know what I mean? Like actually reach the point of like enlightenment where you don't even you see through it all and you just don't even need money. You know, because ultimately I don't even have to work. I could just mooch. You know what I mean? And I could find a way. I might lose a phone. You know what I mean? Like I might end up with even less material possession than I have, which would kind of be the point. You know, but you know what I mean? Like there's food lines and then there's free meals and stuff. It's like just like learning your area, learning the surroundings better. I don't know. I could, you know what I mean? Because like I need a place to sleep and I need something to eat. You know what I mean? And then work is just to like steal time from me. You know what I mean? Because I'm not really making money to be there. They're just basically just stealing my time to give me some tickets that I can use to go eat with. You know what I mean? Kind of like giving a fucking peanuts, giving peanuts to an elephant or something. I don't know. That's why I'm trying to get to the point where I don't even technically make any kind of income, so I don't have to file with the IRS because I don't even make an income. I'm just withdrawing from my own debt. You know what I mean? Because like I don't know, because you have the idea is you get such a Bitcoin stack, such a big Bitcoin stack, you can take 10% of it and get a loan, right? And that 10% that you pulled out a loan on is what your current yearly salary is for 10%, right? And then since it's only 10%, all you need to do is take another 10% the following year, take that 10% to buy back the other 10%, right? And in Bitcoin, with its exponential growth rate and the trajectory that it's supposed to be, granted, not every year is going to be green, so you have to plan for that accordingly. You know what I mean? But you could literally just take 20% of your stack and just keep redistributing the 10% back and forth to each other. If need be, you might could take another 20% of your stack to reallocate, to put and cover off both of those loans. But yeah, you just pull out a loan for what your yearly salary is and then live off of that. And then you didn't make an income. You withdrew debt. You know what I mean? Like you pulled out a loan and so that you lived off your loan and then now you have to repay the debt, right? But in the following year, all you would need to do is take another 10% of your stack to pay that back. Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know. It's going to take time to get to that point. You know what I mean? But they can't expect you to pay taxes because you pulled out a loan. I don't know. They'll probably change that too by then. But yeah, like you know what I mean. Even if I were today, if I got a loan for $1,000, and you obviously you're obligated to pay it back plus whatever kind of interest they want to give you. You know what I mean? So you get $1,000 loan, you have to pay back 1,200, but that doesn't mean that you have to claim that $1,000 as income in that year because it wasn't really income; it was debt. You know what I mean? You didn't income. There was no income of $1,000. There was you promising to pay somebody back 1,200. I don't know. It's more. I'm not saying it the right way. There's a video by Mark Moss where he talks about it way more in depth and like the way I'm trying to. But if you watch that video about, for me, I had to watch the video like 3 or 4 times. I understood it the first time. You know what I mean? That's why I was like, oh, I need to rewatch this so I can like try to retain more of what he's trying to like convey here. You know what I mean? Like I got the idea of it the first time. That's why I was like, oh, let me try to memorize this. Let me memorize this like it's the periodic table. But yeah, I don't know. No, see, I'm trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to find a way to be happy, making ultimately less and less and less each year because I'm trying to build, but at the same time, like I'm trying to build, but have a space that is very very cheap. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's my space. I bought it. I've paid it off. This is my place, rightfully mine. All I have to do is keep up with the bills, right? But at the same time, I'm trying to keep the bills like as low as possible. You know what I mean? I know it's tough in this world. It's hard for me to even explain to people. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Like I was watching a video today. The guy, him and his wife are living in a house, and his wife's like coming into his. He's got like like a whole office he does his videos in, and his wife was coming in his office to like look for something. She had something stored. They got storage bins in his office or whatever. And he's like, get out of my office. He's like, I'm recording right now. And she's like, if we had a bigger house, then I wouldn't have to come into your office. And it's like it's weird how even when you have a house, you have like there's like a psychological something in our brain where we're wired where you even when you have shelter, you want bigger shelter or you want better shelter. You know what I mean? Like the shelter you have isn't good enough still. You know what I mean? I don't know why that is. Or it's the same thing with food. Even when you have food, you like, what else can I go get? Like there's food at the house, but what else? What do I have money to go buy still? You know what I mean? I don't know, dude. But yeah, I'm trying to like control that part of my brain that wants for more in the first place, and then really just stop and like, what do I need? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing, like I'm not even necessarily drinking water right now. You know what I mean? I'm doing better on that. Not necessarily that I'm doing better on that, but you know what I mean? I'm not like on a boat in the middle of the fucking Atlantic Ocean, like fucking about to drink salt water. You know what I mean? And really, we're doing so good today. Like people, even 75 years ago. You know what I mean? Not to mention people hundreds of years ago, the life that they, everything they had to go through in a day, just to get to the point where they could go back to lay back down, and rest and wait for the next day and start another day of bullshit. You know what I mean? Like we've got it so easy. You can just go turn a faucet and have water. You know what I mean? You can, I don't know, explore the whole world from your living room with just your thumbs. You know, there's so much convenience today that like we're just bathed in the system. You know what I mean? We don't know anything other than to consume more of it. Feed the beast, and I don't know. As we feed the beast, the world, I don't know, the world keeps spinning. I don't know. But I don't know. It's a weird thing where people think time is money for some reason. I don't know why people have the two of them are not really connected to each other. Time is its own thing. Time will tick whether you have money or not. You know what I mean? Everybody's got this like time is money. Time is money. Oh, you're wasting time, well then you're wasting money. It's like I don't understand how that makes any sense. How is me trying to not consume as much as possible by not you know what I mean? I don't know. It just like how is me trying to stay out of the way? Like if y'all want money, go get it. You know what I mean? Like by all means, I'm not going to stop you from going to try to make the money that they just print for themselves anyway. You know, you go get it. It's like, I don't know, dude. But at the same time, I'm doing this. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. But yeah, like I'm sitting here. It's Sunday, right? I'm here at McDonald's. McDonald's has got a deal going on right now. They had cheeseburgers for 67 fucking cents, right? And you can get up to 5 of them. Okay? So I was here before work. I got 5 of them. And I came back. I got, more than one email. So I just switched accounts, logged in on my other account, and got another 5 cheeseburgers after work. That's why I'm here. And then before that, Went to the grocery store. I got a couple jars of this peanut butter, and then fucking this is, you know, honestly, this is I mean, it's not a complete nutritious, but still, I could eat off of this. Is like a week's worth of food if I were to eat it slowly. And I got 2 jars of this shit, plus all the fucking oatmeal, and that was 1 hour, like in actual labor, because the amount that I'm paid versus I don't know. It was 1 hour of labor, got all this food. And then at my job, it's not even really like 1 hour of labor. It's like, come in for 5 hours and there's like 1 actual hour of labor in the 5 hours. That's why I'm trying to hold on to the job, because it's ultimately it's the easiest thing I've ever found. And then, you get to a point, it's like y'all are all basically gonna pay me the fucking same anyway. You know what I mean? You're gonna try and be constantly pushing me to do more, do more, and do more. But then, I don't know. Like even now, they're trying to get me to get this, jump into this management position. But, I don't want to, because the pay difference is 75 more fucking cents. And then it's so much extra, all these extra responsibilities, all this extra bullshit I gotta learn, all this extra bullshit like I got straight up gotta be responsible of. And then if the money comes up short, I'm the one counting it, and then meanwhile, they need to put more cameras up, because I've always, the way the cameras are my defense at work. You know what I mean? I don't try to do enough wrong where I have to worry about having cameras on me at work. I like having cameras on me at work, because then they can actually, like, dude, look at this guy actually. If they watch me in double speed on the camera, I'm fucking, I'm everywhere. You know what I mean? Not every job. You know what I mean? Like this job, like I said, it's easier. So, I come in and I handle the wave of customers that come through, and then you get to a point they start to fizzle out, for the night, and then you start cleaning the place up so you can get out of there. And then since it's not a restaurant, there's not a whole lot you have to clean up. You know what I mean? It's beats the shit out of that, And you look around, fucking 30% of the jobs are restaurant. You know what I mean? And so if you want a job that's not in restaurants, I mean, it's like 25% of your options are gone. You know what I mean? And then if you're not in the medical field, another 25% of your options are gone. It's like, I don't know. It's just stupid. No, that's what I'm saying. I've already got experience in managing. That's why I can tell you it's not worth it for just 75 cents more. It's not. The amount of bullshit that they're gonna expect me to do versus where I'm at, where I could just chill where I'm at for 75 cents less, right? And then, yeah, if I step into the management spot, they're going to expect me to be, I got to do all this paperwork shit for them. Like, I got to be the general manager's bitch, because there's a bunch of shit he just delegates down to everybody else, so I'd be the first in line to have to fucking receive a bigger fucking spoonful of shit, and for 75 cents more, there's going to be enough mental stress, just mental stress, where you should get another $2 more per hour, plus the amount of the reins and ropes that you're going to have to like pick up, usually get another dollar from that. There should be a $3 raise at least, and then really, what's $3? That's only going to be 20% more, and then you're talking about 20% more than just minimum wage anyway. It shouldn't be that hard. You know what I mean? This is what your manager is getting. Granted, it's low level manager, but still, you know what I mean? Like, why does the manager not make at least 20% more than the worker? Like, make it worth their while. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? I could just make 15 where I'm at, and they're not going to pay me 18 to do that. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that for fucking 15.50. You know what I mean? It's not fucking worth it. Anybody can agree with me once I explained it to them enough. You know what I mean? And at the same time, it's like I'm part-time retired in between already. You know what I mean? Like, I got to go do shit, but there's a lot of people that they were retired, but now they had to go back. They have to go work 20 hours a week somewhere because everything's inflated so much, and it's pretty much, like, I don't know if retirement even happens from this point. Like, I don't know if I can build retirement out of 25 hours a week is really, I'm trying to figure that out. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't honestly like it wouldn't even be an option without Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Like it kind of wouldn't be. But like I don't know. People wise up to it and they see it eventually, and like, oh shit, the currency we thought was the currency is only worth a fraction of what is actually going to be the real currency. Like literally, you're gonna change the currency in front of everybody's face. It takes a couple of generations to do it because old man father time and his time clock isn't gonna just step out of the way and let that happen. We got to do it in between that already. You know what I mean? Building a new system out of the ashes of the old system. It's gonna take a minute. Yeah, that's well, you can't. I can't do that either. Yeah, I could do that, and then they would just laugh and be like, all right, well, go back to school then. Go. Well, if you're not gonna get that here, you know what I mean. That's the thing. Is like I don't think that they'll ever actually see me as a general manager. So, but they're trying to like feed me bullshit to make it look like, so that way I'll pour more of my heart into the work, thinking that I'll get there, you know what I mean? And then meanwhile, yeah, I'll spend fucking 8 years trying to get to, you know what I mean? And it's just like, why? I'm gonna do all that, and then what's it even gonna get me? You know what I mean? Because I'm not really wanting for too much anyway. You know what I mean? Like, like I don't know, dude. But yeah, like to me, it's like I only need two, like $200 a week is it. That's me passing go. You know what I mean? Even yeah, things have gone kind of crazy, but yeah, like if I'm making over $800 a month, I'm still all right. You know what I mean? Anything more than that is kind of a waste of my time. You know what I mean? Like I'm working more than I even needed to in that month to get through that month. You know what I mean? It's kind of I don't know. And then, yeah, part of it, like, yeah, you want to save, work harder now so that you won't have to as much later. And I'm doing that as well. You know what I mean? It's kind of, I don't know. And then, all jobs suck. If fucking work didn't suck, they wouldn't have to pay us to be there. You know what I mean? So it's, you just got to take what you get. But, like, I don't know, 5 years' time when I have a little hobbit house, on a, on a quarter acre that's mine, I'll just be laughing at everybody else trying to fucking, continuing to pay for their 30-year fucking mortgage. You know, I have a house that I literally made out of fucking mud. you know, I got a camp shower and I shit in a 5 gallon bucket, but all the money I'm making is mine. And it really, it's ultimately, it's not yours anyway. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, more bags of rice that you could buy for longer. Oh man, I forgot that too. I gotta go back tomorrow. I guess they had yellow rice, buy one get one free too, like saffron yellow rice. Like, man, the good shit. Like I was like, man, I gotta go get a rice cooker then, man. If I end up buying that rice, I'll have to go get a rice cooker. I was like, but it'll be worth it because I'll have yellow rice. Yeah, putting away a hundred per month for 40 years. Yep, that's the same thing I'm doing. There was a dude, like especially in today's world, he said you can. He's like, I guarantee you, if you look at your finances hard enough, you can find a way to either increase your income by at least $100, or if you can't do that, at least decrease your spending by at least $100 each month. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I stopped and I was like, he's got a good point there. I'm like, I bet I could, I was like, I could cut this out, I could cut that out, I could cut that out, and that's when I was like, you know what? I don't know. Because I was thinking about it for a couple months before the ex even threw me out too. I was like, I'll just go fucking live in a car. I'm like, it's gonna suck, because I didn't want to leave her abandoned with all the fucking bills. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of, I don't know. The whole idea is like I don't know. I tried to talk her into buying a house that was more affordable in the first place, so that between the two of us, neither of us would have to work 40 hours because we didn't go out and buy the biggest and best house we could possibly afford. You know what I mean? We didn't spend the max. Like, oh, they approved us for 200K. That doesn't, that don't mean you go buy a $150,000 house. You know what I mean? So yeah, we had our mortgage was like under 500 a month for the mortgage, right? And rent was 800 a month, or more at the time and shit. This was like COVID was still in play and everything, and I don't know, but yeah, COVID and all that other bullshit. One thing led to another. And I don't know. But yeah, like the idea was, like let's buy a house that, it's like $400, $500, $100 a week to live there, that pays the mortgage. It's cheaper than paying rent anywhere else. And then we're putting money back into our own pocket. Like you're gonna have to pay to live somewhere anyway. You know what I mean? The difference with a mortgage is, yeah, you assume the responsibilities and all that still too, but it's an investment. You know what I mean? And then when you're renting, whoever you're renting from, your landlord or whatever, that doesn't really affect your credit. You know what I mean? So you can rent off somebody for like 4 years and be a really good tenant. You know what I mean? But they're not going to report to your credit like once in that whole 4 years. So you have hundreds and on top of thousands of dollars that you spent that should have got counted in your credit score. You know what I mean? But it doesn't. You know what I mean? It's the whole fucking thing just wastes time. You know what I mean? And then like people say, oh, time is money. Well, fucking you're straight wasting your money. Beginning, middle, and end. On top of how much they're inflating shit. So like even on a normal year when we have a 2% inflation rate, your life savings depreciates by 2% every year or more just through inflation, you know? And it's like, I don't know. like climbing up a hill and it just keeps getting steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper to the point where you're like just hanging onto the ceiling. You're not even climbing anymore, you know? I don't know, dude. Well, I'm not trying to make it a sex thing either. Like, I don't know. Like, because women, they have that whole cycle and everything too. So they can't, it's a lot harder for a woman to, like, live on the street just flat out, And then, like, all men are perverts. You know what I mean? So there's a woman living on the street, sooner or later there's going to be some man that's like, oh, yeah, come on. I'll give you a place, come on, hang out with me. Come on down, come on down here to my place, you know. And then, meanwhile, he's expected to try and, whatever, trying to do, he might be doing it because he's trying to be nice or whatever, but part of his mind is thinking, oh, she's hot, you know what I mean? And it's, and then, yes, like, a lot of the women that are on the street, they're like the scabbiest of the scabbiest, you know what I mean? Because, I don't know. You can be a pretty scabby woman and still find some kind of scrubby mud duck looking dude that's gonna go and work to to put up with having you around. Some fucking some Elmer Fudd looking motherfucker. Just like yes, ma'am. And he's never left his parents' house, so he's got a place for her to stay. And that's like so much of the world works that way. It's been that way for generations. Like, I'll give you 10 goats for your daughter. We're still doing that. Tell me it's not happening. Something behind us. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I hope it does happen, because you spent years trying to build trust and build towards being with somebody for 40 or 50, however long you actually end up living, 25 years or whatever, at least, because it's marriage, at least you're thinking on the path of marriage, and you're trying to like get everything set up enough where you can financially, give them a decent wedding and everything, give them the ring that they deserve, and you're just kind of, I don't know, peddling through jobs, trying to find the job that you're actually going to stick to the best, and that never happens. And so you get to the point you're just like, okay, well, fuck it, I just need to work somewhere. I don't need to be a fucking superstar. That's, look at me, you're not going to get, you're not going to get a fucking superstar out of this anyway. You know what I mean? And then some, they look at you and then still want more. Fucking, I don't know, dude. Even the guy I was working with tonight, he's like, yeah, he's like, you're a real hard worker. He's like, I wish you'd do a little bit more. And I'm like, dude, I'm technically working 3 fucking jobs right now. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, you see what I do while I'm here, but you don't see what I do trying to survive outside of here, and then trying to survive through this bullshit scheduling this guy's been putting me on these last couple of weeks and shit, because he don't fucking remember. It's like, for me to reset and be there 6 fucking days a week, it takes a lot out of me. I'm coming from a car to do this. I'm coming from popping out of a fucking car every morning to, to reset, and the fucking back problems I'm having, the neck problems I'm having, the knee problems I'm having, and then you go into this fucking job, and everybody with their fucking cars and their stupid fucking bullshit, and it's like, well, then stop buying cars, you fucking idiots. Can't you fucking see that they don't fucking last, and all they are is a fucking pit of money, It's like just a fucking pit to throw your fucking money down, and people just keep fucking buying cars, coming in wondering what the fuck's wrong with their car, you know? It's like, because they don't, it's like, fuck, dude. You pay for it for 6, and then on year 7, it starts to fucking fall apart. You know, if you're lucky, it didn't start falling apart after 5 years. Because that's the even shittier part, when you got a car you're still making payments on, and then you got like fucking maintenance issues coming up. Fucking, god damn that shit too, dude. I can only imagine having like 3 more years left on the fucking car payments, and then and it's you're wondering if it's even gonna last another 4 months. Like, Jesus Christ, this shit nowadays, you know what I mean? And granted, yeah, it's kind of a step up from a horse, because horses are temperamental and they shit, and there's a lot more maintenance, and a horse gets a broken leg, and you're fucked. It's not like getting a flat tire on your car. You know what I mean? If your horse has a broken leg, you know your life savings is gone. You have to buy another fucking horse, if you have a life savings to buy another horse. You know what I mean? But fuck, dude, all this stupid shit, dude. Oh my god. And then nowadays, we don't even know what the fuck we're even building towards. Yeah. But yeah, man, I don't know. I wanted to hang out with you for a little bit, talk to you for a minute. I didn't mean to piss you off if I did. I don't know. I'm trying to just venting about stuff myself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's need over want in the first place, and then it's crazy how much I have to remind other people that. You know what I mean? Everybody keeps talking to me about, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to do that? What about you want to do that? It's like, I don't know. I don't know why I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do it. What about that? I don't know. What's it even worth to me? Is it even going to be worth it if I did it? Maybe. I don't, no, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'll think about it. uh, uh, uh. Fuck. Fucking. Man, sometimes I wish an alien would just help me out. You know what I mean? Fucking. Like a little alien dude just sitting in the passenger seat and just like, yeah, bro. Like, I agree with you. This world's fucked. Don't do nothing to help them. This world's fucked. You shouldn't be doing anything to help them out. Help them fucking build into more fucking corporate sleazebag bullshit, Fucking. Fuck all this shit. That's why it's like, I don't know. If it's like y'all want me to work, then I'm like, like, well, I'm gonna work like this. I'm gonna do this, this and that. Is that fine? Is it all right if I do this, this, and that? And they're like, well, we were hoping we'd get more out of you than that. It's like, well, wait. But you only want to pay me this much, though. How do you expect me to do that if you only want to pay me that? You only want to pay me like that. You only want to pay me like I'm like this. But you expect me to do all that. Why the fuck am I gonna do that? That doesn't sound like a winning picture. But yeah, that video. I think the video uploaded by now. I'm gonna scoot up the road. I'm not gonna end the live stream right now. So I'm just gonna set the phone over here. If it'll sit there, it might. Not gonna work. Maybe. But yeah, just sitting in the McDonald's parking lot. And I think the McDonald's actually closed about a half hour ago. So I gotta find another place to go hang out for a minute. But yeah, I'm not quite ready for bed yet either. I don't know. I'm finally off tomorrow. Fucking just did 4 days straight at the retail job. And fucking, this week on Uber I ain't made too much money off of that either. Fucking, I feel like it was like a wasted week. But I don't know. More pot, like my, I got a, more of a decimal of Bitcoin at least. You know what I mean? I don't know. I got, probably at least another. I got 1% more this month. The month's about halfway over already. It's kind of crazy to think about. March, I feel like March just started. Like March just started like 3-4 days ago, and it's already fucking halfway over. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, I think I got at least 1% more of a Bitcoin already this month. If I can get like 1% more of a Bitcoin this month, mission accomplished. I can do that. I probably will, to be honest with you, because it's $700 right now. I mean, anything can, granted, this next week he fucked me over, man. Like, He won't. He like I don't know why the dude won't fucking listen to me. You know what I mean? Cause like I've been asking him for fucking months. Like, hey, give me Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Hey, just give me Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Hey, just give me Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Hey, just give me Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, I mean, fucking all these damn schedule change requests I put in, and one finally gets approved by his boss. And then he still is completely just ignoring it. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, hey, I only want to work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, and then like just to spite me, the schedule this week, I don't even I'm not on the schedule on Friday. You know, so I'm like, so I'm only you know now I'm only on the schedule in 10 hours, which I knew that was gonna happen. I knew the dude was gonna be fucking petty enough that was gonna be what was gonna fucking happen. You know what? You know. By the time I was able to get my Friday, Saturday, Sunday out of them, I wasn't even gonna have 15 hours a fucking week, you know. But yeah, of course he'd fucking do it, you know, fucking be as petty as fucking possible, you know. And then the bullshit of it is like, honestly, I feel like I can go anywhere that's hiring and needs a worker right now and tell them like, look, I only want to work weekends, and they'd be like, okay, great, because you know we need somebody for the weekend. You know what I mean? But I'm hanging on to this shit because it's fucking easy. If I don't know, dude, I just wish the fucking GM would do a little bit more of their fucking job. Like, not even do more of their job, but like earn their fucking pay. You know, but of course, you know, why would you do that? You're gonna get paid the same either way because your salary. I don't know, dude. It's fucking, I don't know. Can't win from losing in this bitch. Set too far back in a position starting off as a pawn. You know, I can't really expect to become a knight. Oh god, I should have came here either. Yeah, I gotta go find another spot. This ain't gonna work. At least the car, the only problems I'm really having is I got this up front tire. Like if you ever played like racing games or whatever, you know, like a tire that's like yellow or orange, you know, and the tire's red, and then the tire goes red, and it pops after that, you know. Like this tire up here, this tire's definitely orange right now. I need to get it replaced. I mean, it's still, there's some life on it, you know what I mean? I could probably get another couple 100 miles out of it. It's holding air, you know what I mean? But